vulnerable when he is caught completely off guard because he feels secure. That is what happened to Eve. Satan used his supernatural psychic power to deceive her. Satan rarely works openly. He is very deceitful. He uses governments, organizations, people, or even a serpent. That is why Paul said, "Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." Ephesians 6:11 and 12. Eve was deceived. She never suspected that the words from the talking snake came from Satan. The devil, speaking through the serpent, asked her, "Has God indeed said, 'You shall not eat of every tree of the garden'?" Genesis 3:1. Eve replied, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, 'You shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die.'" Then the serpent said to the woman, "You will not surely die." Genesis 3:2-4. As Eve listened to the serpent, it must have crossed her mind that he was saying something different than what God had told them. Perhaps sensing that she felt confused, the serpent hurriedly added, "For God knows that in the day you eat of it your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Verse 5. The devil suggested that God was unfair, that he was holding back something good. To be like God had been Satan's consuming desire and his downfall. Now it sounded good to Eve, too, and in an impetuous moment she sold out. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. Genesis 3:6. And Eve gave Adam the fruit, and he ate of it. Adam and Eve failed God's test of love and loyalty, and it was not long before they knew that something had gone wrong. Satan had hijacked the newborn world. From that moment, he laid claim to the title Prince of this world, the ruler of a planet in rebellion. As this most tragic day drew to a close, God came in the cool of the evening as usual, calling for Adam and Eve. Until now, this had been the happiest time of the day, a chance to walk and talk directly with God who had created them. But not so this day. They ran and hid in the bushes. Finally, Adam slipped slowly from behind some shrubs in the garden and confessed, "I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked and I hid myself." Verse 10. Adam had never been afraid before. But that is what sin does. It even makes a person afraid of God. God replied, "Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat?" Verse 11. Adam's reply, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate." Verse 12. A few hours before, Adam had been willing to die for Eve. Now he blamed her for his problems, and also blamed God for creating her. How sin shatters perfect love. But Eve was no less accusing. When God asked her what she had done, she replied, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." Verse 13. Eve put the blame on God, too. In other words, she was saying, "It's the serpent you made that got me into trouble." That very day, Adam and Eve were doomed to die. To keep Adam and Eve from eating of the tree of life, God evicted them from their garden home. The devil said they wouldn't die, but the Bible says, "So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died." Genesis 5:5. Too late they discovered that the devil was a liar and the father of lies. John 8:44. It is easy to blame God for the world's heartbreak and devastation, but Satan is really responsible for the havoc. He is the one who brought trouble to this planet and who has been causing sin and suffering ever since. Jesus unmasked the devil and the way he afflicts people. As he was teaching in the synagogue one Sabbath, he noticed a woman bent over with a crippling deformity. Touched by her pathetic circumstances, Jesus healed her. The rulers instantly criticized him because the healing took place on Sabbath, God's holy day of worship. But notice how he defended his actions. So ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for 18 years, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath? Luke 13:16. Jesus said that Satan had bound this woman for 18 years. Satan was the guilty one. In fact, Satan is the sinister force behind all disease and suffering, heartache and death. Perhaps nowhere in the Bible do we see Satan's strategy more clearly exposed than in the first chapter of Job, in a conversation between the devil and God. It was sometime after the fall of Satan that the sons of God presented themselves before him. Satan came too. Think of that. A meeting of the sons of God, and Satan came uninvited. The Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?" Job 1:7. In other words, who invited you? What right do you have to be here? Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking back and forth on it." Job 1:7. Satan claimed dominion over planet Earth. He had taken over Adam's position. Adam is called a son of God. See Luke 3:38. Just like the others who came that day for a meeting with God. Could it be that they were the heads of other worlds, just as Adam was originally the head of our world? At any rate, Satan's claim to represent earth did not go unchallenged. The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil?" So Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for nothing? But now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." Job 1:8, 9, and 11. What a challenge! Satan claimed that the only reason Job was loyal to God was because of what God did for him, not because he loved and trusted God. So the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on his person." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Job 1:12. Satan left, eager to get his hands on Job's possessions. The blows soon began to fall. First, the Sabeans stole Job's cattle and murdered his workers. Second, lightning struck, killing his sheep and shepherds. Third, the Chaldeans came and plundered Job's camels. Fourth, the most heartbreaking news, a tornado demolished the home of Job's eldest son. A party was on, and all 10 of Job's children were killed. Poor Job! He thought that the Lord had taken away his possessions and caused all the heartache. He didn't understand that the devil had done it. Although overcome with grief, Job's loyalty to God was unchanged. He said, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Job 1:21. Although he could not understand the tragedies that devastated his possessions and children, Job trusted God's goodness just the same. But Satan wasn't through. He challenged God again, saying, "Yes, all that a man has he will give for his life. But stretch out your hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will surely curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, he is in your hand, but spare his life." Job 2:4-6. The test was on. Would Job remain loyal to God when the going got rougher, or would he turn his back on God? So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with painful boils from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. Job 2:7. If you've ever had a boil, you know how painful just one boil can be. Imagine being covered with them from head to toe. Even though Satan had deprived Job of his possessions, his children, and his health, Job remained loyal to God. What a man! The Bible says, "In all this Job did not sin, nor charge God with wrong." Job 1:22. Who was it that plagued Job? Satan. Who stole his livestock and killed his servants? Satan. Who brought the tornado that destroyed his sons and daughters? Satan. The Lord may allow difficulties to come and test our loyalty and love, but Satan is the guilty one responsible for all the evil on planet Earth. You and I are caught in the center of a bewildering cosmic drama, a conflict between authority and lawlessness, between the Creator and Satan, the original rebel. We are not spectators. We are involved, whether we want